Nick Fuentes is one of those political commentators that is gaining a lot of attention. I've been watching some of his videos and he's made some good points. He's also made points I don't agree with. In this clip here, we're going to be talking about what he said about Hasan Piker. And you can catch this show on Rumble Monday through Friday. And this is from the channel called Based Lore, I believe. Hopefully I'm saying that right. I'm going to share that link as well so you guys can check out the entire video. But I want to play what he has to say here about Hasan Piker, give you my thoughts and reactions as we go through this together.
The one thing I watched today is an interview in the New York Times between Hasan Piker and Ross Douthat, or Douthat. I don't know how to pronounce his last name, but he's like a big Catholic. He's been around forever. And I watched this interview, Hasan and New York Times, and this guy is just an idiot, man. And here's the thing.
When it comes to Hasan Piker, some of the things that really stand out about him is the things he says about Republicans, man, they can be very extreme, calling them Nazis, encouraging his base to go after them, and insinuating violence, whether he means to or not. That's not the right message you should tell your audience. Yes, you can disagree with people on the right or the left, but to have this idea of like, well, they're here to threaten your democracy, yada, 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 not the best talking points. So that's something that stand out to me about Hasan. Like, bro, like that's a little bit much in my opinion.
I don't care if somebody is right or left. If they're intelligent, if they have an interesting perspective, I watch and I listen because I'm always looking to learn. And you know me, I'm not really a partisan. I'm not. Of course, I have very strong views and I'm very far on the right wing, but I'm very, I think, open-minded, and I'm always open to hearing a new perspective or new information, and I read.
And that's a good trait to have. Whether you are on the right or the left, you should hear other perspectives. Even if it's outlandish, even if it's something you're not going to agree with, you should hear them out, because I think it's important that we have conversations, we are able to share our thoughts, and whatever idea wins in the end when it comes to policies, that's fine. But it's always very important that we listen to each other and we try to understand each other. And even if we come to a conclusion that we don't agree, okay, cool, no big deal. We just move on. But it's always good to understand the other side of the aisle. That way we get better at explaining ourselves and we get better with our stances.
The right and the left. I watch the right and the left. And almost all the time I don't agree with the left, but I do listen. And I watched this interview today and it was just brutal. They're asking Hasan. So one of the questions, they finally get into it. And the interviewer says, so Hasan, what is your cause? What's your goal? And he goes, he says, I'm in favor of social democratic reforms. And the guy goes, what does that mean? And he says, well, I think that's far in the future, but we just need to make society more democratic and have people have more choice in the workplace and undo the systematic violence of capitalism.
When Hasan Piker is talking about making America more democratic, what does that even look like? I know some people on the right are going to say, well, they want to have it look like Portland, for example, because we see in that city, it is run down. It's a disaster there, and people who are business owners have fled. I think it's like over 2,600 businesses have left Portland since 2022, I believe. That's not a good look. And then we look at right now with ICE agents being there, trying to get things under control and enforce the law. Antifa's fighting back. Activists are coming out and protesting, not really protesting, of course, responding with violence. And nothing's going to get done that way. And the people who are in charge of Portland, your Democratic leaders, are doing nothing to enforce anything. So when Trump tries to get involved, they're like, oh, he's a fascist, yada, yada, yada. But your community is suffering. Another example is Chicago with ICE agents, and people are fighting back against the agents there. They're just trying to enforce things. They got, illegals living in apartments that, they shouldn't be in, buildings they shouldn't occupy. And the thing is, like, this is out of control, and Trump's just trying to restore order. So these are all ran by Democrats. If you want things to advance to a point where we have Democratic leaders, well, we have to change up some things when it comes to their policies. If we go more moderate and things are not as extreme, then we'll hear you out. But if it's these examples, it's like, yeah, it's going to fall on deaf ears.
And it's like, what the are you talking about? Like, what does that actually even mean? When they start getting into this Marxist language, you just got to say, time out, stop. What the are you talking about? They say the imperialism and violence necessary to uphold the system, and we just want more equitable and better outcomes for people. And it's like, yeah, I think everybody wants everybody to be happy. And in the end, finally, they cut to the chase, and he goes, we need free healthcare and free education.
But who's going to pay for free healthcare and free education? Taxpayers. And also, these universities are going to increase their tuition. That's what's going to happen. So you can say, oh, we get free education. All right. Someone's got to pay the bill. Comes to healthcare, I do think it does need to get better, and there needs to be an improvement in that area. But making it free isn't always going to be great because somebody's going to suffer. It's always the same talking points with Democrats. They come to a conclusion like, we need to make these things free and more accessible. I get the part about making healthcare more accessible and easier for people to afford. I do agree with that statement because when you have non-employer insurance, it's more expensive for a family of 3 or a family of 4. It's like, why should I even have health insurance to begin with? So it's a jacked up system to begin with. I like the idea of making it more affordable, but it's not being done. And of course, like Nick says here, everyone wants to be happy. Everyone wants to have opportunities, but you got to go out there and work for it. You got to go out there every day and set goals. You got to go out and work hard. Hasan has a huge following. He built that up over time. It didn't happen right away. He had to go out there and make a living for himself. So to act like, oh, we want the same opportunities, like it's right there. You just have to go after it. You can't victimize yourself. You can't talk about, oh, woe is me. You have to take responsibility for your actions and try and level up and make the best of everything. Is it always going to work out? Maybe not. But if you put your best foot forward, you're going to get good results, in my personal opinion.
And I just, honestly, I just can't stand the left anymore. I mean, don't get me wrong. On this show, we've really been focused on these other dimensions of the political conversation. We're talking about billionaires. We're talking about the oligarchs and how the political process actually seems to work. And that has made me a skeptic of the Republican Party, too, a deep skeptic of the GOP and the entire constellation of conservative Republican institutions, the media, the think tanks, the nonprofits, all of it. With that being said, the left is still retarded, and it still is just all about, when I see Hasan Piker,
and that's the thing, people in the middle or people who are on the right or trying to consider who to vote for, they're like, these ideas on the extreme left are a little bit too much. Talking about celebrating Charlie Kirk's death, you've gone too far and you're pushing people away from your party. When AOC is one of your faces of the Democratic Party, it's like, you got to change that. If you're trying to win elections in the future, the Democratic Party has to distance themselves from these conversations so they get back more to moderate discussions. And I believe if they do that, they can get more votes and win elections, in my personal opinion.
See Zohran Mamdani screaming at Tom Homan about the First Amendment and the stupid shit that they're pushing in New York. It's like it makes me want to become a Republican hack. Do you ever get that feeling? It's like you spend enough time watching Republicans and you say, maybe I'm a communist. Maybe I am a national Bolshevik. And these guys are owned by Israel. They're owned by the rich. They hate their own constituency. They're just as bad as the left. Then you spend any amount of time watching these progressive on the left, and you're like, I am signing up with Raytheon. I am signing up with the oil and gas industry. I'm signing up with Netanyahu. We got to destroy the left, man. I'm signing up with Stephen Miller. There has to be a third way. There has to be an alternative. And that's not a dog whistle for like third positionism or anything. It's just, we really need our own party. We just need to form an America First party. We need to form a far right party.
And I like that idea of having a party all about Americans, because even with Trump, I did like the fact he enforced some things with like transgenderism, making sure people understand it's a male and female. And look, if you want to live your life, that's fine, but don't force your ideas on people. But when I look at the Epstein situation, I'm going, Elon Musk exposed it and said he's on the list, but now Trump doesn't want to release the files of what happened there after he campaigned last year. And then there was another story that came out where he defended his U-turn on Chinese students' visas. And I think it's 600,000 Chinese students coming to the United States. I'm not saying you don't deserve the opportunity, but that takes away from Americans who are working hard, who are studying. Let's just say you have a group of engineers going for a job and you have a lot of Chinese students who worked hard, got the same degree, are going to hire the Chinese engineers because they're going to come at a cheaper cost. And that's where I have some problems. And I think it's important to listen to both sides, like Nick says. And I like what he had to say here about, American first and keeping that the priority. So I'd love to hear your thoughts about what Nick Fuentes had to say. Do you agree or disagree with his statements? Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch y'all in the next one.